Hi, guys. Welcome to another episode of the Openers podcast. Today, we have Deeksha Anand with us, who is currently working at Ion Group as a business intelligence manager. And she has transitioned her role from being a project manager to data analytics. And I think this is something that very few people have done until now. She has pursued her bachelor's in computer science from Indira Gandhi Technical University, which is based out of Delhi University. And I think I'll let her introduce a bit more about herself on what she's currently pursuing and also about a venture that she has recently started. Over to you, Diksha.
Thank you. Hello, Nishant. Hello, Mayank. Hello, everyone. So my name is Deeksha Anand, and yes, I am a computer science engineer. I graduated back in 2019, and I would like to call myself an engineer who is a non-tech engineer because I used to hate coding. Like I couldn't code at all, and like how many people do we find like that, right? So I hated it. I couldn't do it, and that is why I started my journey as a non-tech role. So I started with Ion. Ion is a B2B fintech company. So they are into selling financial softwares to investment banks, corporations, etc. And I started as a project manager over there. So, working with on different projects internally and externally for clients. And during that period, I did it for about 1 year. So for the first year, I was doing all about project management, and I created a lot of reports. Right, I was doing a lot of work because there were so many metrics. I was working for stakeholders. I was working for leaders. I was doing so much of reporting of metrics, reporting of different things that are going on in the company, and it came to a point wherein I was actually creating hundreds and hundreds of pages of reports. Right, because project managers reports, I think, very familiar, and that is potentially so 1 year. So that was in 2020. That's when I decided that this is not something I can do anymore. I need to look out for myself. I need to find an escape. I need to run away from here, and that is when I started my journey in data analytics. So I started with a business intelligence tool, Power BI. So that was used for creating automated reports, for just automating the entire framework. And I started my journey in there. That's what I started doing. So and trust me, everything that I used to do, spending hours and hours of my time, at times even weekends, because there were such long reports, was actually just finished because I created everything automated. Everything was converted into dashboards. And once I kind of got into it, I started getting more into data as well, right? Because I started discovering different aspects of it, realizing the importance of it, realizing the need of it, because there's so much data out there. Everyone is using data around us. And while I was doing that, I realized that this was my problem, right? I was really facing a problem here, but this was also the problem of a lot of other people in our company as well, right? Because there's so many people in the non-tech domain or even in the tech domain that are doing the same thing, and they were really facing a lot of problems. And that's when I decided that let's teach people, let's try educating people on Power BI. I have learned it, so even they can learn it, because I also come from a similar non-coding background, as I may call it. So that's when I started teaching. I started teaching Power BI. I taught over 1,000 people in my own company initially. And when I did that, I think I really loved it to begin with, because you were interacting with people. I love interacting with people. I was talking to so many people, and also I was growing on my own as well, right? I was improving myself, and that's when as you spoke about. So that's when I decided that let's venture out as well. Let's cater to more people. Let's get more people involved. And that's when I started my own venture, OneStop Data. So OneStop Data was potentially built to make sure that I can bridge the gap between education and employment in data, because there's so much scope out there, right? I just being in my job could self transition into data, so there's so much scope over there. There's so much demand of data, but there's not enough people who are doing it. There's not enough education around it. Like imagine just there's hardly any courses or hardly any jobs that hardly any education universities that actually offer data analytics as a course, right? So it's hardly there, but it's in terms of jobs, it's all over. So that's when I started One Stop Data, which is a data-driven community, which actually works to cater and bridge this gap. And I work on it through my Instagram page, through my LinkedIn page. I make people aware, through short form content, through long form content. I teach people as well. I take webinars, and I help people transition into data. So yeah.
But I saw like many people don't really switch and just stick to one role what they have got, and just try to get better at it, even if they don't really like it. So it's really good that you called out. Like many companies these days are very supportive for the employee and all of those things that you have mentioned.
No, definitely. And I'll just add that even if you ever face a situation wherein you are not able to switch in your current role, like I was lucky to, just be able to switch within my current role, I'll just suggest everyone that make sure that you are able to find an extra project within the company or somewhere outside. If you're able to do that, because there are many times, that there are many projects available, people are looking for resources. So if you're ready to put in extra time there or just even outside, that can actually be very helpful for you to just explore anything, because don't stay stick to one thing just because you started with it.
Completely makes sense. Like continuous learning can always improve in company's career.
Yeah, that's true. And talking about continuous learning, say I'm in a field which is not related to data, and I just heard the fact that data is the next oil. So I want to get into data analytics now. How can someone with no knowledge or no computer science background transition into data analytics? And are there any prerequisites that are required to do so?
Okay. So it's a very, I can give you a detailed answer and I can give you a short answer. So I'll start with the short one and you can just let me know where you want me to expand. So talking about prerequisites in terms of background, no, there are no prerequisites as such in terms of background. Even if you're from HR, from marketing, or from any domain possible, you can still transition into data. So that is very much possible. Skills, I think there are two sets of skills required for anything that you do, right? You have technical skills that will help you with the tools, and you have non-technical skills that will help you on the job to become better, and also that will help you while you're doing whatever you're doing. So technical skills, I'll say just learn one data visualization tool. So, and obviously, everything that I say is after you learn Excel. So make sure that anyone who's getting into it knows Excel and is good at it. So learn one data visualization tool that will help you create dashboards, create reports. So it could be Power BI, Tableau, Google Studio. There are many out there. So you can decide which works for you. The second would be to learn a database management language, which is, we have SQL, which is the most commonly used. So you can learn SQL, and then finally you can learn a language, Python or R, which is for data analysis, data cleaning, etc. So you can learn that as well. So these are the three tools. But this is more technical, right? If you're someone who's actually starting with it, what is more important right here is to make sure that you are also good at analyzing the data when you see it. Like for example, I have some data. I go on social media, for example, right? And I have a post, and let's say I have a reach of 1,000 people. I have 500 likes and 20 comments, for example. That is also data. And then I have 10 posts, and all of them will have some insights to it, right? So that is also data. It is not that you have to do something special for it. Now that is right in front of you. Can you get some insights out of it in terms of, okay, what works when, which time is the right to post? Like we all post reels, right? What is the right time to post? Does it work in the morning? Does it work in the evening? Are my insights better in terms of comments and likes? What is working? What is not working? So data is everywhere. So for me, I think non-tech skills are more important in terms of learning how to read data, learning how can you tell a story with data, learning how can you help the business or anything that you're doing to make decisions with data. So I think that is more important in terms of getting into data analysis. And talking about domain, I think if you're from non-tech, I think that helps at times even more, because let's say, for example, you are in marketing and you want to get into a marketing analyst role. So that will require marketing skills as well as data skills, right? So you with the marketing background, for you, it will be more easier to get into data as compared to me, who is a computer science engineer and who doesn't come from marketing. So yes, so I think for non-tech, at times it's better because you can just upskill yourself and get a better role, better paying role in your own domain.
Yeah, I completely understand this. Like, as you have covered all the top skills that is required within the data domain, like what according to you is unique about this data domain? Why it's different from software engineering or various other roles available at the company level or at the corporate career level? What is unique in the data domain?
So, I mean, I say it with a little biasness because obviously I belong to this domain. But I think what really makes it unique is that data is everywhere. You cannot get rid of it. You talk about any industry, you talk about any department, you talk about anything for that matter. Even if you're opening internet one day and searching something on Google, even that is data. So it is not a separate career or a separate option altogether, right? It is everywhere. You will have to deal with it. You were dealing with it 20 years ago when you were just using Excel, or you just had the basic tools. The data was less. You're still dealing with it right now because the data has exponentially expanded. So your skills and tools have to expand to match that. So I think what makes it unique is the fact that it is omnipresent. It is everywhere. You have to learn how to deal with it, irrespective of whether you are a data analyst or a data engineer or a data scientist, which are the common terms that we call in data, or you are someone who is, let's say, management consulting, let's say, anyone in HR, in talent acquisition, anywhere, you will have to handle it. So yeah, I think that is something.
Completely makes sense.
And Deeksha, so you talked about the uniqueness of data, right? What is your view on? So what I've seen in the companies or organizations is that data analysts are given specific data to analyze and pick up certain points as well. So sometimes or most times it happens that maybe they find some data points that is not relevant to the leaders or the stakeholders, which they are not able to showcase, right? So do you think there is not enough autonomy given to data analysts currently, or do you think it's more on the management side that the mindset needs to shift when it comes to extracting insights from data?
So personally, I think, and this is what I have been doing, and it has worked well for me, that whatever you do in data specifically has to be a balance between what your stakeholders want and what you are doing as an analyst or anyone. They cannot be more of one and less of the other. And while you're working in sync, let's say I'm working with the stakeholders, I'm working with the leaders, I'm working with in sync all the time, because they are the ones who are telling me, okay, this matters. Like for me, for example, at times I do not need the autonomy, because I don't know कि talent acquisition में क्या होता है, तो मैं उस data को कैसे handle करूँ, right? So at times I need that. But what happens is that when you have the balance of working with the leaders, working with the stakeholders, you actually start gaining domain knowledge. Now, right now, in the past, I have worked on marketing data, I have worked on talent acquisition data, I have worked on customer service data in the last 2 years, and I understand a lot about that domain. So I know कि अच्छा ठीक है, मुझे ये 3 आते हैं, अगर आप मुझे चौथे पे जाना पड़ा, now it is very easy for me, right? Because I am now able to understand the metrics behind it. कि अच्छा, customer service में customer satisfaction matters, NPS matters, and things like that. So I think that if the balance is there, and if you have right mentors to rather imposing things on you, can actually help you understand it so that you can deliver dashboards and reports better, I think that works in favor of data analysts a lot, because they kind of become the center of a lot of different things, right? So you are gaining way more than anyone in a specific department would.
Yeah, so I think the power couple concept that exists in a lot of organizations comes into picture here as well, because data analysts are not just people who are working on tools to extract the insights that you want. They are someone who have the capability to extract insights that you might not even think of, right? So I think that balance is definitely required. And yeah, so now shifting gears to a topic which is in discussion a lot these days, is about the involvement of women in data related careers. And I've seen your Instagram page and your LinkedIn posts, and you talk a lot about the importance, or how women should be promoted, or they should take up careers in data as there's less representation. What do you think is the main reason for this? Is it because of lack of awareness, or is it something else?
Yeah, so that actually you raised a very interesting question here. So just talking about stats a little when we talk about women in data. So we see that 55% of women are actually, women make up 55% of university graduates. And for STEM graduates, that is 35%. But that reduces to about 22 or 15 to 22% when you talk about women in data, in specifically, women in data science. So we see that there are women at the university level. There are more than men actually, if you talk about all the courses out there, but that potentially reduces when you talk about data. I think that primarily happens because data is actually a natural extension of computer science, of tech. So whatever the problems that you see in tech, that is, data naturally inherits it, because data is related to computer science, to statistics, to math to an extent. And rather, interesting, not interesting, but women, the data is actually the worst of all in terms of diversity. So out of all the tech options available, data is the worst in that. I think mostly it's happening because of what data has. The perception that data has, that many times it's seen as a boring job, it's seen as a monotonous job, that I need to know coding now, then I need to know statistics also, then I need to know 10 other things to get into it, or then I'll only be sitting in front of the laptop crunching numbers and doing data. So I think one of the reasons is definitely that. And the second will have to be access, just like we talk about technical careers as well. Even though I am a strong proponent of women in data, and I would love for them to come on board, I never say that, and I would never say that take something from men and give it to women, in the sense, okay, open up women only jobs, open up positions which are only relevant to women, and do not let anyone else apply. No, I don't think that is the right answer. That is, again, you are not having inclusion and diversity. What I would love for people to start doing, or even women to start doing for that matter, would be to get equal access and get equal opportunity to get where to these jobs or to wherever they want to be. Even after equal opportunity and access, if women are unable to do, or unable or do not want to do it, I don't think anyone is unable to do anything, but if they do not want to do it, then that's a different case altogether, right? There's so many professions where women are more. That's fine, right? That's not a problem. But if equal access and equal opportunity are given, I think that would be the right step forward, and that is something I really work upon.
Yeah, I think that's a good point I've raised. It's not important to make it only a women-centric career. It's just about giving them the right opportunities and then building up on it. That's completely dependent on the women. So, and I think you have conducted a few workshops as well recently, be it online or in person, to educate people about the importance of data and how they can crack into the data careers. So how was the experience for you, and what were the maybe top 2 or 3 learnings that you gained from the workshop?
Yeah, so I've taken a lot of online sessions because we had COVID in the last 2 years, and it was obviously you couldn't do anything. But I recently took an offline session as well, so that was my first in 2 years. So I will specifically like to talk about that, because that was also a lot about person interaction, and that is when you can actually see people, understand them, and see their reactions, as compared to online sessions when you are only speaking and you are unable to see anyone. So I think the amount of learning, just as a speaker, that you gain after seeing people's faces and after seeing whether they're understanding or not, that definitely helps. And something that I've noticed is people are eager to learn, right? The people who genuinely sit interested till the end of it, they are really interested to learn. They're really interested to know about it. And the face-to-face interaction just makes it even more interesting, right? That, okay, you have someone who's standing in front of you, you have people who are listening. And some of the questions that I get, just talking about learning, the questions that I get at times are also force me to think many times, like, oh wow, I never thought about this. Okay, can someone even ask this? Or it would have been a question I never knew. So I think as a trainer, that is very important. That at times what happens is, when you get into training, you just think that what you know is the sole truth, and nothing else exists, and you know everything. And I think that is the worst kind of mindset that you can have. So there's so many things that you just learn from people just from the questions that they raise. I think that is really important, and their curiosity, their interest, them knowing about so many things that you also either hardly know about or have just heard about. It's actually very interesting. It forces you to keep upskilling yourself, right? Like, even though the topics of my webinars are similar, I take them in different universities, I take them them in different organizations, but every time the experience is different in terms of the questions I get, in terms of what people are looking for. And yeah, so it's actually, I think it's also very fulfilling, right? You are able to actually help so many people. Like I said, I've now interacted or trained in some way 3,000 people. So it's very fulfilling that you're able to actually impact lives. I mean, even if 10% of those lives are impacted, or even if 10% people are able to make a career or do something in data, I think that's a win, right? So yeah.
Yeah, I think these workshops teach you humility, as you might not know a lot of things, and then you go back home and like, yeah, I think I need to improve this in the next workshop that I take.
I think on the other hand, they also teach you a lot of people management. Like I was talking about the offline session, right? So there was this session that I had, and when you're taking online sessions, like no one can really see if the other person is on phone, what are they doing, are they lying down, they're sitting, what are they doing. But the offline session, like it's very tricky to deal with people. Like let's say and this happened also, right? Someone was sitting in front of me and they were using the phone and or laughing. I think both of them happened. Both of these things happened. Now, the one way to actually go about it is to just say, oh, I think I'm not interesting. I think I'm really boring. Oh, I'm not, or just demotivate yourself, right? But I think how I dealt with this was I just called them out. I said, hey, I think you're laughing. It's something funny. Why don't you share? Like in a very normal tone. It was not. I mean, I don't want to mock anyone. Obviously, the children in front of me at least. So I don't want to mock them, but it was actually funny. So and after that, there was no problem in the session. So I think it teaches you a lot about people management. I think that's a very important skill to have, right? Like just knowing how to
It's a
handle people.
wonderful initiative that you have started, I would say.
Thank you.
So a side topic question, like there are a lot of controversies in the world as well as like around the misuse of the data for all the users, etc. Right? And some of the big techs are also in the headlines, like they are misusing the data. So what is your say regarding that? Like how the data can be used? Our users needs to take care of anything, or what is happening around this?
So I think honestly, it's a very controversial topic. You're right. I think there's so many companies who are misusing it. Right, even right now, when you open any app and they ask you, "Can we use your data?" and most of the times people don't even see it and they say yes, and then all your data is being tracked all across the app, all across your phone. Like I am talking about that. Okay, I want to take a trip to this X place, and next thing I know, I'm seeing 100 reels on that same place telling me about the tourist places. I mean, this happened recently 2 days ago. So obviously, I think everything is being tracked. The companies are coming in radar, some companies are not coming in radar. It just depends, like I think Facebook was in radar recently, and there's some other companies that are coming in there, but I think they may, see, honestly, I feel that they may pay billions of dollars, they may pay millions of dollars, they may get out of it, they may not get out of it, they may change something, they may not change something. That will not really affect users. I think eventually it's about you. I mean, just at least try to control as much as you can. Be very careful of what you say yes to, what you say no to, because that's the only way out there, right? Like even if we know 10 companies who were in the news in the past who were doing this, and they're still doing it, and we're still using the apps, and we're still said yes to everything, and that is why we're seeing the reels that we are. So yeah, I think you personally being careful will really help. The laws will come, regulations will come, but I think self-care and self-precaution will be the best in here. I mean, don't depend upon anyone else.
Also, might be a different question here. Like some of the people might think data domain is a very niche field that they can opt for their career. Instead, they should go for a broader kind of a role where they can also play a part of a data engineer. So, what are your thoughts there? Would you like to highlight some of the job details or the job markets nowadays, so that it can help people to not think in a niche way?
Sure. So I think it's a very big myth out there that data is a very niche career. Like an example I just stated as well, right? Like data is everywhere because it is needed in every domain, whether you are in finance, anywhere for that matter, right? We spoke about so many examples. So how can something be niche when you need it everywhere? You can be anyone. You can even be into, as I mentioned, finance, HR, marketing, management. You can anywhere for that matter, and you will have data and you will have to analyze it. So it is, if you and also it's about thinking, right? If you keep on thinking that, oh, okay, I just need these three skills, and this is what I'll have to do, and this is what I'll be working on, then obviously you will feel it's a niche, and that's the problem, right? If you think of it as a broader term, in which you think about the different domains that are out there. You have healthcare, you have IT, you have sales, you have so many of them out there. If you think about all of them and you think about getting into any, and just let's say you have business and you have data. Once you just start thinking about them as one, because you need data to make decisions that will help your business, then suddenly your horizon opens to business rather than just being to data. And once that happens, business is everything, right? Every company has a different business. Every company has 10 different areas which are working together to sustain that business. So I think that becomes the wider horizon. So think about data as a supplement, as a support to everything that you're doing to run a business, and I think that will just make your career paths open as well. And and also for everyone out there who's not as interested in getting into data, just make sure that you still upskill yourself in data. You still use this as a tool, even if it's just with Excel, right? Even take any, it doesn't matter which tool you take. What really matters is how you use that to actually analyze something that is in front of you. Can I tell why my profits were high last year as compared to this year? Can I tell why my sales in region A was more than region B and more than region C? So if I'm able to do that at the very core level, I think that is way more important as compared to thinking about the three tools and thinking about, okay, this is what is important in data. I suppose per se.
So what are the tools that we can use here? Like you have already called out, I know, like Power BI, Excel. How people go about and learn about these tools? What are the sources from where you have learned?
Sure. So I am actually a self-learner, so to say. I am not someone who can sit in front of courses, watch them for 10 hours, and then go back and do something. That personally doesn't work for me. So what I usually do is or what I did was that I started with let's say Power BI, for example, right? That was the first thing that I learned when I got into data. So I started with just, let's say, watching the basics of Power BI, of let's say how to navigate, how to work, go about it. And then I started working on the project that I was supposed to, right? So I chose a project that I was very familiar with because I was already working on it for the last 1 year as a project manager. So and yes, that is one of my tips also. Choose a data set or a project that you are familiar with. Let's say, for example, Nishant works in healthcare. Now, if Nishant is in healthcare, it makes sense for him to take health data as compared to finance data, which he will not understand. So take something that you understand, because that will just, fasten your process of understanding how to analyze data. And then once you start the project, Google is the best source. Go back and forth. You know what to do with the data. You understand it the best. Go to Google search, come back, just change it, go back again, and just keep on doing that. I think that is what engineers do as well, right? We just go to Stack Overflow and we go to different websites and we find the code. So that is what you can do here as well. In general, if self-learning is not something that works for people, I will definitely suggest them to start with some free resources. So you have YouTube. There are a lot of free resources available. I keep on posting about them on my Instagram and on my LinkedIn as well. Go to YouTube, go to Udemy, Coursera, go to the websites that are available, free resources. Why I say free initially is because it is for you to first see whether it is for you also or not, right? Like many people just get into it because of the hype of it and the salaries behind it. Start with free, see if this is for you, see if it interests you. If it does, then, and you learn a bit of it, then you can definitely go for looking for paid courses, looking for, let's say, certifications, etc., if you're interested. But yeah, so definitely start with the very basics, start with everything that is available, and there's a lot available. Like honestly, you will not even need to go to the paid courses if you really are able to find the good free resources which are available out there.
And I think
Thanks for adding that. Yeah.
you should definitely go and check out Growth School. And I think Deeksha has a few courses or a few workshops lined up over there.
Yeah.
And also TopMate, wherein you can book one-on-one consultancy with Deeksha. We'll link them in the description of the video. So I think, Deeksha, we have discussed a lot about data. Then I had a question regarding what you mentioned about the involvement of business and data analysts, right? So looking back, I think that people who are data analysts can go on and become really good managers because they know what to do with the data and they can extract those insights as well from them. And yeah, I just wanted to share that insight because that just dawned upon me that many a times managers just climb up the ladder, but they want the superficial information, right? They want to see it from the top. They might not want the granularities. And data analysts are the people who worked on the specifics. So if you are really aware about how to extract data and analyze it, if you have, and after you have climbed up a ladder, you would be definitely knowing what exactly to look at and what to ignore. So data analytics is the basics that any employee should be knowing, be at any level in the within the organization. Any comments on that?
Yeah, I mean, and just to speak about it in a more broader perspective, I think the reason why there's so many engineers, there's so many people who are in the tech fields or any other field for that matter, they get into MBA and they become successful managers is because they know at the ground level of what is going on, right? Like if you get someone who has no idea of what's going on, of how to do it, it will they cannot do anything. Like, I mean, or even if they are, they will not be able to solve anything. Like, for example, I recently became a manager, so I managed two grads, and now my job is less graduates, as in recently who passed out of college. That's just the term. So if I and my job is less hands-on now, and it's more about guiding them and helping them to get ahead, right? And when you talk about data specifically and the domain that I'm in, what happens is there's a lot going on at the back end, right? It's not just about, okay, I created a pretty dashboard and now it looks great and I have bar charts and I have histograms and I have pie charts. And that's not how it works, right? It's all about also, the most part of it is about how you're cleaning the data, how you're transforming the data, how you're modeling the data. Is my data correct? I mean, if your data is not clean, if it is not correct, it doesn't matter what you show online, right? So there's so much backend effort involved at times that for anyone looking at it in the front end will never be able to guess it and will not know why is it not working, or why are my insights incorrect, or why is it not showing what I thought it should have shown because my gut said that, or this is what I've seen the trends in the market. So only someone who is actually at the grassroots level, or who knows everything at the from bottom to top, I think they will be really able to tell, okay, why are there outliers, why are there exceptions, why is there a problem, what is happening, is it the data or is it something our company is not doing correctly. I think that is something also we forget, right? We at times we consider data to be the source of truth, and that is not the case all the time. It can also be a lot about either the data is incorrect or something happened that the data is this way. So yes, so I think that balance, just being someone who is in data and then becoming a manager from the business perspective, that balance really helps to ensure that it's I mean, it's the whether it's data or it's it's your company. So
That's true. And I think that brings us to the end of the podcast, wherein we ask people to give suggestions and tips for people, say, who want to get into data domain or who are currently in domain and want to upskill. What could be the next step for them? So if you could just let our audience know that.
Sure. So talking about someone who has not started with data, I will definitely say that, start with learning basic skills in data. I mean, that's very important. We spoke about that as well. But do not spend a lot of time on just knowing the skills, the technical skills. Spend a lot more time on application of those skills. Spend a lot more time on working on real life projects. Work on data sets. See how it is practically applicable. There are many websites available out there. You have Kaggle, you have GitHub, you have a lot of websites available. They host competitions. They have a lot of data sets where you can create projects. So spend a lot of time on that. Not just that, spend a lot of time on networking also. So this field is actually relatively vague. It is relatively new. There is no clear path defined over here. So make sure that you're networking with people who are in this domain. You're talking to people so that, one, they can guide you, and second, they can also help you to get the job or the internship that you may need, right? Like, referrals, I think, work the best. So that will definitely be my advice. Make sure that you work on your resume, you work on your uh, personal branding. I think that helps a lot as well in data, or in any field for that matter, but specifically in data, because as I said, it's a little vague. that we have out there. For someone who's already in there, just make sure that you keep on widening your horizon. You keep on working on different kinds of data. Do not limit yourself to just one domain or just one industry or one department. I think that won't help. Keep on building the knowledge of business along with data. I think that will really help you to go ahead in your career. It will really help you to eventually, get on the top ranks as you may want to, whether it's in business or it's as a chief data of CDO or anyone for that matter. So yes, I think just keep on working on your business side as well. Keep on working on your soft skills of data storytelling, of data visualization, of how you're presenting the data. I think those skills will really take you very far in your career.
Perfect.
Thanks a lot, Diksha, for all the great points.
And I hope this content will be helpful to the people who watch it. And yeah, wishing you all the success for One Stop Data, and hope
Thank
it
you.
gets more followers on Instagram.
Thank you.